Morning, Susan.
Hey, good morning. Hey, Carl, what's the protest at the State House?
There are a couple of them today.
Okay.
They're having. Well, hold that thought. Let's get started, and we can we'll chat. I hope everybody had a great Fourth. I'm sorry I wasn't with y'all last week, but I was up in North Carolina and with family. So hope y'all had a good week. And anyway, it's been crazy since we've been back, right? I mean, another long, interesting week. Susan just mentioned we've got. I came into work this morning and every parking place was taken by 7:45, which I knew something was amiss. But we've got dueling rallies today at the State House. Today is the fifth anniversary of the day that the flag was brought down off of the State House, and so we've got two different rallies going on today, so we'll see. We're praying for peaceful protests, and it's going to be a scorcher too. So in fact, the humidity is so bad it's messed up Ron Harvey's hair. Sorry, Ron. Welcome.
That was a good one.
It's going to be a scorcher. So we hope everybody stays safe out there and drinks lots of fluids. Let's talk a little bit. It's an interesting case. I'm sure I know Rich has, but others may have seen this too. The number of cases keep going so high that percent per million, South Carolina is one of the top 4 places in the world, which is, let me say that again, top 4 in the world of places with COVID. It's unbelievable. So Georgetown Hospital, Tidewater Hospital Systems has requested the National Guard to support them and their need to provide medical care. They have 47 patients with COVID right now in 2 hospitals. Absolutely, this is reminiscent of March, right? What we were hearing in New York and other places, and here we are. And somewhat bewildered that Myrtle Beach is having Bike Week next week or the week after. I'm not sure that makes any sense at all. But anyway, we've seen this week a couple other local communities sign on to pass a mask ordinance. So I think in our direct Midlands, you got Lexington, you've got Casey, West Columbia, Columbia, and Forest Acres all have signed on, and Richland County all have signed on to a mask ordinance, which makes a lot of sense. So be smart. We keep talking about a mask, but don't forget hand sanitizer as well. Wash your hands. But I really, when you see those numbers and you see that we're 1 ahead of Bahrain in number of cases, that's Arizona is worse. So we're not the worst, but we're up there. So I think this goes to, we've got lots of more education to do. In fact, we had a really interesting conversation this week on Tuesday. We brought in for our regular issues meeting, we brought in the superintendents of Richland 1, Richland, the assistant superintendent of Richland 2, because Barron's been under the weather, and then also the superintendent of Lexington 1. What was interesting, and many of y'all were on that call, we had, just for the record, this was crazy numbers. We had almost 1,000 people watching that thing, between 450 on Zoom and another almost close to 500 watching it Facebook Live. We've never seen those quite numbers yet. That doesn't hit any meters, but for us it did. But the interesting thing, there was probably about a little over 15,000 views on Facebook throughout the day. So it was, what that means is it was a hot topic. Everybody wants to know what's going on with schools. And the superintendents, to give them credit, they talked a lot, and they they explain some of the circumstances that they've got to deal with and some of the parameters and the guidance they were given. But there's no answers, right? I mean, there's nobody really knows. In fact, Richland 2 met last night. They want to start school a little bit later, August 19th. Some schools are looking to go back after Labor Day. Now, no guidance yet, no decisions on whether those that are going back will be virtual or in person. But I left that meeting on Tuesday morning with more questions than I had answers, and I had more confused than I've ever been in how we go forward. And so that's not necessarily a good thing, since I should have asked better questions, quite frankly. But I don't know, even if I had asked different questions, we could have gotten any definitive answers. So it tells me we're going to have a long fall, especially, Sumter County, by the way, did make the decision to, their first 9 weeks will be e-learning. They'll be virtual. And which I think you're going to see a bunch of schools follow suit, especially you got schools around the country, universities and colleges are starting to make decisions, and especially on the most important thing, not about education, but about football, right? And making the call that only conference play for some conferences, which puts in question whether or not we'll even have a Carolina Clemson game. Just for the record, the College of Charleston Cougars, that I am proud alma mater, that's my proud alma mater, we have not lost a game that we played since 1916. So whether Clemson or Carolina, I could care less. College of Charleston will still stay undefeated in their football program another year. So the schools are the big unknown factor. Last Friday, the Academy of Pediatricians sent a letter to legislators as well as superintendents saying they think that kids need to go back to school, that there's a strong number of kids that are not getting their mental, physical, and educational needs at home. And I think that was a poignant point that they've made. But there were a couple of House and Senate hearings this week dealing with the same thing. It's a big unknown. But the important thing, and what there was a question posed, why is the chamber worried about education? Well, it affects all of our employees, our future workforce. I mean, it's a significant impact on the business community. And quite frankly, it's going to be a challenge for many businesses to manage schedules with so many different schools open and being closed, and dealing with virtual. So we'll muddy through it. Hopefully next week we'll have a little bit more guidance from whether the president continues to talk about it or the governor talks about it. He's got a press conference today. So it's 11 today versus at late afternoon, which will be interesting to hear what he has to say. Speaking of the General Assembly, I want to take up for my friend Ted Pitts a little bit. Ted took one on the chin this week for calling out some legislators for not doing more to help small and all businesses in legal protections during COVID. I think the number of states there's a lot of states that have around 30, give or take, have passed some type of protections for businesses during COVID, and limited protections and not gross negligent cases. And the state chamber has been asking the legislature since late March, 1st of April to pass something, and they hadn't done it. And he called them out on it, which I think he should have done. And they did not respond well, in my opinion, and called board members and asked for his job. And anyway, it was overblown. But I will tell you, he's doing his job. So I think we need to all, if you haven't contact with state legislators, businesses need protection right now to make sure that they're opening up in a safe manner, but also that needless lawsuits aren't filed against them that could put them out of business. And so the U.S. Chamber, every small business organization, large business organization around the country have asked for this. So it's not out of touch to ask for that here in South Carolina. And I wish the General Assembly would react to that better than what they did. So want to also give a shout out to our friend Lou Kennedy. Big announcement yesterday for them, a $250 million expansion with additional 380 jobs. That's big for us in this region. And we're, going forward, if we want to see job growth and economic expansions for our region, we're going to have to look at companies here. We're not going to see a lot of companies relocate. Large manufacturing plants are not going to relocate. Especially in the market that we're in and the uncertainties of the market. So we're proud of what Lou and Bill have been able to do here in our region, but more importantly, the jobs that they're creating. They've done a good job and are great partners to a lot of us. So thanks to them. Also had the privilege of going out to a groundbreaking last week with Minwon Specialty Chemicals. It's a new South Korean company that's opening off of Shop Road Extension that would actually is right off between Shop and Bluff that will provide specialty chemicals in it's not a huge operation, but it's a great investment in Richland County, and we're excited about Minwon and what they're going to be doing. I want to. We hit education a few minutes ago, but I see Dr. Witherspoon popped on, and we really appreciate him being a part of Tuesday. Thank you for your time, Ben, and we wish you well on your making your big decisions as you go forward. I know my house got a bunch of calls this week asking about it. Y'all are popular, by the way, Dr. Witherspoon. We had the largest crowd we've ever had on the chamber event for Tuesday, so congrats. And but we also had surveys had gone out to parents, and I know that many teachers were asked and administrators were asked to try to reach out for those kids that had not been able to be reached before. So thanks for all that y'all have been doing for that, Dr. Witherspoon.
Yeah.
What other big news? Any big news that I'm missing that y'all want to talk about? I want to leave a little bit of time just for people to chat and say what they're thinking. I know everybody's back from, well, driving around town last week, it was pretty quiet. So I was assuming people were on vacation, but this week as well. So we've, which is good. It's important to recharge the batteries and get time away with family before this place gets crazier. I will tell you what, I was so excited that July 1st came that we could start in the second half of 2020. I'm not quite sure the second half will be much different than the first half. I am hoping, but all right. I did read an interesting statistic this week that our unemployment continues to drop. We're down from new cases, obviously, with everything coming back, but 30% of our workforce filed for unemployment over the last 4 months, which is significant. It's nothing that we've ever seen in our lifetime. So the more we get further away from March, the more data we're going to have to look back on and to see the trends. And so that'll be interesting. Congress is back next week to really take on some issues that really need to be addressed. The CARES Act expires July 25th. PPP was extended to August 8th. They still had a bunch of money left in their accounts. So it'll be interesting to see as we go forward what Congress is going to do. If you remember back in early June, the House of Representatives passed a $3 trillion HEROES Act. And the Republicans quickly said, nah, that ain't gonna work. It's too much. So since then, Jerome Powell and others have said, no, we've got to stimulate the economy some way, some fashion. And so I have some significant reservations about going forward if we don't pass something. I do think that unemployment will skyrocket if we don't see something. I do think companies once their PPP monies are through, we'll see how they react. But with the whole balance at play right now, schools opening, everybody's still not quite, with the number of cases still rising. It puts people, especially business owners, at a predicament right now on what to do. So there's a lot that will happen the month of July that we're going to have to really track and follow. So I want to look on a positive side, though. We have been resilient. We have done extremely well, both our community, our state. If we can just get these cases under control, I think we will. So back to washing your hands and wearing the daggum mask, I think is important. Any comments folks have? I want to open it up.
No, Carl.
Girls, yes, sir.
Let's talk about masks a little bit.
Yeah.
I get calls. We get tons of calls every day. Took one this morning. I'm in Sumter at the Walmart. Half the people the employees are wearing masks, half aren't. About 10 out of 100 people are wearing masks. Make them stop. You know, we've got an education and all the media, we all talk about it constantly, but you get out of the urban areas and you go between here and Greenville, stop at any place, nobody's wearing masks. You know, that's part of the problem. Not everybody's taking this thing seriously. It's gotten so political, and you get mask shaming on both sides. And the numbers, you said at the very beginning, the numbers are just skyrocketing. And percent positive, when you're over 20% percent positive, that's crazy. So we've got a major problem to make people wear masks.
You know, I don't know what it's going to take when there are a large number of young folks that have it. Beach Week was not kind. Memorial Day was not kind. I mean, people just put their guard down and went back to normal. I have a strong suspicion we're going to see another spike after this week, July 4th. But, you know, I'm shaking my head down to Myrtle Beach right now. If you think that we're going to see cases fall during a major bike week that starts July 13th, that's just crazy. So I know the state has put out the signs on the interstate to wear masks, and above the lights on some interstates to folks to remind us, you know, to wear masks. But here's the problem. I mean, this is the reality of when you got local governments that pass it, say, but we're not going to enforce it. That's the danger of passing ordinances when you don't have the ability, or you've already said you're not going to enforce it. It's dangerous. And so people don't take it as seriously. If you think about why did seatbelt use start to rise, is because it was not a $25 fine anymore, it was a $250 fine. Anyway, it needs to be taken serious, and the media's done a great job. I mean, there's the campaigns on social media, there's media, the TVs and the paper, everybody has said, wear your mask, wear your mask. It tends to change the conversation when an individual or somebody they know gets COVID. But that's not smart to wait till you get it. Yeah. Any other comments? Hey, Lynn, are you chatting? You're on mute.
I'm now unmuted. Good morning, everybody.
I saw your lips moving. I said, I can't. Yeah. Thank you. How you doing?
I'm good. I hope everybody's doing good. Just wanted to mention, I don't know whether you mentioned it a few minutes before I got here, but there was a story on Lexington County Hospital this morning on MSNBC that talked about the critical point that Lexington Hospital finds itself in with all of the COVID patients. So in light of what you're saying, I don't know that Lexington County Hospital, local hospital, could really take the brunt of any more, based on what they were saying this morning.
That's interesting. I hadn't seen that, but I did read an article. We talked about this. Georgetown hospitals are maxed out as well, and their specific request for the National Guard to help them was the National Guard's medical staff to come in, and if there was a way to call them up to help out in certain cases, and which is just really, really intriguing to me that they're at that point. That they need assistance. And I know Prisma has seen events. You may can address this. Y'all had more cases today than you did at the peak, was around 100, I think, max at any one time throughout the system. And I think y'all have exceeded that now, if I remember correctly.
Yes, you're right. It's gone up dramatically. And so I think your comments earlier are the comments, and Mr. Odell as well, comments for today. And that is, this is a serious virus, and people need to be serious about it. And all of the recommendations and some of the requirements, people need to adhere to those. We're seeing more and more positive. I think Mr. Odell said it best. We at one point we were at about 6% positives that we were testing, and now it's over 20%, and that number continues to climb across the system. So it is something that we need to be real serious about. And if we're not, unfortunately, we're probably going to have to, not Prisma, but everyone going to have to go into shutdown mode again in order to try to contain the virus. Yeah.
That would be horrible.
Yeah.
Sorry, for those that have 4 kids at home. Anyway, so I will say when everybody was thinking, let's talk about the myths, right? I for one, heard somebody from the CDC say, there's strong evidence to say that once summer comes, this is going to be like a flu and this will go away. And not accurate, right? Didn't hit young people. That's not accurate. It's hitting young people more than anybody right now. Now, a lot are asymptomatic, but the carriers, and so they're getting a lot of other people sick. The interesting thing today, I'm not sure anybody else read this, but there was an article, it may have been yesterday, linking COVID to certain types of blood types, where certain blood types are more susceptible to stronger symptoms. And so I think that's got to be looked at a little bit more, but very, very interesting. So again, the more we're into this, the more we're going to know about it. But there's a lot we don't know, and a lot of things that we thought we did that turned out not to be true. So again, wear your masks.
Oh, you're right. And let me make a point. Many of you probably remember I used to work at the Sickle Cell Foundation. And so I spent a significant amount of time working and studying that disease. And one of the things that's interesting, I read a book called Negroes in Colonial South Carolina, 1796, something like that. But anyway, the premise was that African people who had sickle cell trait were able to ward off malaria, and they were immune to getting malaria. Now, again, you said it best a minute ago. We don't know a whole lot about this virus, obviously, but I believe, this is Ford personally, believe that some people are immune to it, or at least they have a resistance to it based on their blood type or their DNA. And some people are more susceptible to it, and we just don't know. I've heard of cases where people have been in close proximity. Some people come up positive, some people come up negative. And so because we don't know and because we're still learning, we do know some of those best practices, mask, glasses or goggles, particularly if you're getting on an airplane, social distancing. And here's something to remember, and Carl, you said this, is there are people out there who are asymptomatic, but there are also people out there who are pre-symptomatic, which means that you could have been in contact with the virus 2 days ago and your symptoms are just starting, but those previous 2 days you felt okay, and you could be passing the virus on. So people who are pre-symptomatic. And then the final point, and this is one I'm sharing with everyone, if you've been tested, that test only represents the past. It doesn't represent the future. So you can be tested this morning and then go out this afternoon and be exposed. Some people get tested and they let their guard down. Well, that's not the right thing to do. We all have to keep our guard up until we're able to contain and hopefully come up with a vaccine for this in the very near future.
Well, the testing is going to get better. It's not good. I'll say this, it's remarkable. If you go into a pediatrician's office, they can get an answer within 15 minutes. But if you go to some places to get tested, it's 4 to 5 business days before you hear anything. And so, which is a lifetime, right? Because that test was reflective of one moment in a day a week ago, and then countless more interactions with people. And you could leave the testing site and be run into somebody with contact that has COVID. So it's again, it goes back to personal decisions that you make, and really recognizing that your needs may be different, but as long as you wash your hands, wear a mask, and be smart, you can avoid this thing. So anyway, let's leave it there. I appreciate everybody being here today. Happy Friday. Y'all stay cool. And we'll keep you posted. We'll be back here next Friday. And if you need anything during the week, don't hesitate to give us a call. We look forward to seeing you real soon. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. See you, Rick. Bye-bye. See you, Adam.